Hi everyone, this is Jobenblue with the first impression for Burter. Apparently I forgot to record the intro, but I can tell you right now this thing is a complete dumpster fire mess of QC problems, and I will go over all of them in this video. It is so bad, I literally made the PSA video about how there's just no point to opening these figures anymore, just because I know that Burter has absolutely terrible QC problems, which you'll see soon. I know that the EE Goku has problems, and I know that Hit has a bunch of problems as well. So this one is a dumpster fire of QC. Stick around and you will get to experience that. It also came with its manual, which I like these things, but it takes so long to go through all of this. But if you want to pause it, you can. Cool. I will say Burter is from Vietnam, but we know that it's not just Vietnam that is having these QC problems, because the EE Goku was made in China and the UI figures were made in China and they also had QC problems. So it's not just a Vietnam thing, it's just Tamashii has bad QC no matter where they make their figures at. So this is definitely a pretty big box. It's about 9.5 inches tall, about 8 3/4 wide, almost 2.5 deep. Burter. And Guldo. Burter and Guldo. Is that like a batch number? I'm gonna guess that's what it is. Or it's like the number that mine is. Maybe. I do have blue tack, silicon shock oil, and the drill bit set on standby. I always like to bend these back. I don't know. Just kind of a thing I always done. Got this nice teal, blue-green kind of background. A little scarred, but not too terribly bad. There's not a swappable ear, which kind of sucks. Dodoria has one, so hopefully in all future figures they don't have that problem. I really don't think that they thought these Dragon Balls through, because half of these are on P Bandai and the other half are just general releases. So that would mean that you would have to buy general and P Bandai to collect a set. And now they're doing the glowing ball version. So it's like they could have just made all of one type be general and all of another type be premium. Like Guldo does come with another pair of arms. That was like one of the first things I said. Demonico Fit's version of Guldo is fully articulated. So I guess for me, it was kind of like, why is it just a statue? At least with the other pair of arms, you get something more out of it. Please do not use excessive force when bending, pulling, or attaching movable parts. I really want to know what the definition of excessive is, because the things that I don't think would be excessive still destroy these figures. So just gotta be super careful with these. How ironic. Okay, there's like a huge thing around the tray. I guess it's to account for these pauldrons so large. I'll start with Guldo, even though he's more of an accessory than anything. Okay, the pauldrons don't move. That doesn't move. The head, I think, does move. Yes, cool. It's very much like on a double ball joint, maybe. Yep. I didn't know it was going to come out like that. I'm glad that they did the head like this, because, yeah, that's the best way to have done it. So, I did good on that part. These are keyed in, I see. Pop them out. It's very bendy. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna break. Oh, yeah, they did. They cut out the parts of the body that would otherwise, you know, like, you see, like, in order to like get to human proportions, it had to be squishy. So instead, they just cut it out to fit the body, which is totally cool. And then they have these other ones. I guess theoretically, you could just attach whichever group that you wanted, so you can have like, you know, almost like a fighting guard pose or something. It's very much limited to like a certain kind of pose, but like you can't have them like that. I don't know. I wish there was a little bit more. I wish they had made these like ball joints or something. It's a little lazy, but. And then got some stuff on the feet there. Yeah, there's not a lot to this figure. I'm not saying I really need a whole bunch, but I might. If I was to have both kits, I'd probably take this head and put it on the Demoniacal Fit version and call that my actual Guldo. But I mean, I guess it works. Yeah, but there's really not a lot to him. I can't bend him at the waist. I can't move his pauldrons. Really just got head and the arms there. So next we got Burter. One of the things that you immediately notice is all these little bumps and stuff. Size-wise, I would say he stands very similar to King Cold. I think that's kind of what got me to finally make this videos, because I was thinking about like King Cold, and this would be like a perfect use for it. I know people have used Ginyu bodies for King Cold, so I would hope they can kind of use Burters as well. I think there have already been some made. I'm not sure. So here's the family with Ginyu. Kind of small. And here is the family with Burter. I think this body works a lot nicer, height and size wise, for a King Cold. I think the only one I've seen so far is a B Customs of the Ginyu body. But I think that the Burter body would look so much better for a King Cold, which I'm sure that we're going to get soon. They are on the Jace or Scouter Vegeta style, which I'm totally fine with. There's no reason to have them be on Ginyu style, because Burter's only ever seen with these kind of pauldrons and doesn't really get in the way or anything like that. Well, I mean, get in the way in terms of like, you know how Ginyus fall out. It's so annoying. Like, if I got to do that in order to get it, like, posed or something, I'm totally fine with it. I'm just trying to see how far I can push these. What kind of limitations are in the way. Pretty standard joint system. I'm having good luck so far on everything. It's kind of ugly how there's that, the gap there. I don't know, it's just, I feel like they could have done more or something. And then, like, oh, it's hard to tell, but it almost like starts to catch right there. You got to be kind of careful with it. Oh my god. I shouldn't have done that, but you see like what I mean? It just made the plastic white, which is not good. So why would they allow that? The best way to go about fixing this is you got to pull on the arm and then move it, but I don't understand anything about this joint, because like that looks ugly, and then now you try and push it back and it just damages the arm and all kinds of dumb stuff. Please be Jiren style. I want to be careful just because I know it's probably going to break. I got lucky there. Honestly, I should have just taken that one out with hot water. That's what I would more or less recommend. Just use very little force and hope that it comes out fine. I'm using a 1064 bit or a 5/32 bit, just to like kind of make it a little easier to slip on and off. Still pretty tight, but at least now it's more manageable. I had the Suicide Squad Joker figure, and that one was like really, really bad. You should use hot water to take it off the first time, and then once you've done that, you can kind of go back and use other things. I almost wonder if it isn't cut at an angle as opposed to straight down the hand as you would maybe expect. I think it's more so like that as opposed to like that, so I might have carved it a little wrong or something. Hands, drill them out. I mean, honestly, at this point, I'm just kind of expecting to do that with all of my SHF from now on, which is a sad reality. This arm is moving nice. First bend, and then second bend. Is it catching? You can barely see it, but like it, depending on if I put just enough pressure here, it pushes it in just enough that it catches there, as opposed to just like moving it freely, as opposed to like pushing there and then moving it. If you see what I mean, like you got to pull it from over here as opposed to like pushing down right here and then pulling it. You see, because that catches it, and then if I just slowly push up on it, it doesn't have that problem like you saw in the other arm. It's still a dumb design, but the point is like it can be avoided. You just got to be, it's like Raditz, you know. Is there a neck to this figure? I don't know. Let's check the head first. Good style. Looks kind of sloppy there. You can see it's probably injection molded, and then they cut it off the runner like a Gunpla figure, and just kind of not the best. I don't understand. They gave it the good like type of neck, and then it's like they also hinged it so it only goes up and down. Like, why? That's a little tight, but I guess it's usable. It's really stupid to do it this way, because what you have is somebody, not me, because I understand how this neck works, but is just going to push on this, thinking that it's going to be like one of the only things that they did really get right on these Jiren figures were the attachments to the hands, because, you know, free-floating joints like that, as opposed to on Burter, round ball, square peg. Why is that not a ball? I don't know. But anyways, this is the ideal kind of joint that you would have for your hands. And then same goes for the head as well. It's kind of hard to see. But do you see how there's all this, like, it's a barbell joint. It's got all this, like, amazing range of motion. Left, right, up, down, whatever. Okay? So imagine if I went from Jiren to this figure and went, oh, yeah, you know, they've probably started using the Jiren style because they recognize it's fantastic, and then they push on this one like that, and boom, snaps the figure right off. You know, I'm not going to do that just to prove a point, but it's just like, what's the point of this hinge? Like, stop it. Just, you see this, you have this. Use this. It's so good. Just put this in all your figures from now on. Use these kind of joints as well. It's like, literally one of the only good parts about Gimpy is that is the way that the head connected and the way that the hands connected. I don't understand the logic behind using an up and down hinge, because somebody is just going to go and snap that right off. I'm not going to do it just to prove a point, but like, there's so many stupid neck games. Like, why was Gohan like that? I mean, at a point, it kind of feels like, how stupid can they make the necks and have people, like, still say they're okay? Like, I've watched some people review Gohan, and they were still like, oh, yeah, this neck's a little funny, but, you know, it's still good. Still gets this great range of motions. Like, well, you don't need it, because you can use other kinds of styles and still get the same result, which just doesn't make any sense. So, like, I almost wonder, like, how stupid could they make the necks and, like, still have people suck them off? That's so stupid. Why would you make a neck like that? You didn't even do it for Guldo. Guldo, amazing neck. I would have taken this over this stupid mess. But, whatever. Can I take the scouter off? Yeah, Scouter pops off. Scouter pops on to the other head just fine. I feel like there's almost a little bit of the Raditz issue where it's like the head is kind of angled up a little too high, like the Scouter. So you can't push it in all the way. You gotta like kind of pull it out just a little bit in order to really have it be positioned properly. One of the good things about the way that Burter's face is that he doesn't have pupils, so they can't like stick him off into some stupid direction. Even with Jiren, you could make the argument that it's the sun from the Tournament of Power, and that technically his eyes are facing forward, but it's just the sun is reflected in his eyes, and that's what makes him look off to the side. But you can almost tell in the promo pics that they acted like the sun from the Tournament of Power was actually just like his pupils, and they're white instead. But luckily, there's no issue with like eye neutrality because of just like there's no pupils, which is nice. It's kind of annoying how I don't know what this is. I think it's like I'm gonna guess it's just a paint scuff. It's kind of annoying. Maybe he gets angry and that's his mole that comes out or something. God. See, I can do it with this head just fine. So clearly, it's a problem of the female is too tight. I tried the 3/16 inch bit. That was too small. I tried the 1/4 inch bit. That is way too big for it. So I moved up to the 7/32, but apparently I messed up and just bored out the head pretty much. So it does not fit on there at all. That's why we have blue tack. I don't know what to say. Don't blame me. I think it's kind of stupid that it took this much just to get it to like half working anyways. And see, blue tack's on there, not coming off. There may be too much blue tack. You barely need any blue tack at all. You're basically just trying to like get a micro coating on it. But anyways, I can mess with that and fix it. But there is the heads fixed. Unfortunately, I don't know what to tell you. I would say look for a metric kit and just keep going up in size until it maybe works. I don't know why the 3/16 didn't work because it sure acted like it was supposed to. The 7/32 is too big, so that doesn't really make any sense. It's probably a metric thing, just how things are. Terrible QC, just absolutely ridiculous that any of that had to transpire. So he pulled apart at the waist pretty easily. I just kind of wanted to see what kind of mechanism was going on in here. It kind of felt like there was an ab crunch, but I think that this whole area is just kind of tight. I'll go ahead and stick it back together. So it's just your traditional kind of movement. There is no ab limiter in here, which is good. There's no like seriously obstructed range of movement. I think it's kind of rubbing a little bit there. Yeah, after I use the oil, it seems to be working pretty good. If I do this enough times, hopefully it'll go away. And it is on a hinge at the waist, which is perfect. That's exactly what we like to see. As far as his entire torso and waist movement goes, I'd say it's pretty good. He can definitely bend over and pick something up, so that is good enough for me. That's all I ask for. I like to do this with my figures, kind of like how they like prop themselves up. As dumb as that sounds, like not every figure can like do that. So to be able to do it on Burter is fairly nice. I don't know what that click was, but it's not happening anymore. It's just weird looking. Like you push on it hard, like a certain way, and it just kind of like, you see that? I feel like it's another tightness issue here as well. Like, it's the same kind of issue as the UI figures. Whether you realize it or not, I'm the guy that made the video on the UI figures, and I showed that that was as far as you could get out of the package, but you were supposed to be able to get that much range out of the actual joint. It was a QC problem. I figured out that you had to go in there and lube up right there, and that fixed it. And I'm running into the same kind of problem here on this Burter, even after I've used silicone oil. So, kicks out. That's how far it's supposed to be able to kick out, pretty much. It's supposed to be able to, like, do the splits. But with this, I'm running into that same kind of tightness issue underneath here, and that's as far as I'm able to get it kicked out. It's the exact same thing as UI, where it's just like a tightness issue. That's how far it's supposed to be able to kick out. Okay, it's like something in here is too loose. I'm not sure what the exact area is, but it's something in here that is, it's just not working the way it's supposed to, really. I can make it go out there, but it's supposed to be able to go out farther than that. Like, I push on it because it's not staying in. It's supposed to stay in, like, you see on this one. I would bet it's the ball, just like something's not cut right. It's another QC problem, go figure. But basically you try and, like, keep your thumb underneath here, and then kind of like try and push out and bring this thing out as you go, and then you can see it's got that great cut. Everything fits perfect now. It's another QC problem, go figure. Let's see if there's anything else. It's kind of tight. Kind of breaks up the knee, but it's not horrible. Yeah, they're just like certain little ways you have to learn to manipulate these things. Like, I could keep it like that and then just get ever so slightly more range out of it like that, or it's hard to explain. It's like the elbow thing. I mean, I can push the knee first and then do the leg, as compared to if I pushed the leg first. Look, it's really hard to explain, but this one, it's not terrible. That's a little loose. I probably just made that kind of worse. I don't know what that click sound is. I don't think it's anything that would cause the figure to break or whatever, but how did they do the feet? The problem with a lot of these feet... Oh, fantastic. The base of this one isn't high enough. Like, oh god, that's tight. Still not perfect, but I mean, I guess it'll work for now. But the ball is too far downward in the foot, so you can't really get the best range out of it. I almost wonder if it's not too high on this side, but the bigger problem is probably more so that it is too low on the actual foot itself. That ratchet sound is not supposed to be heard. It's usually heard whenever plastic is like super tight. Like you saw, it's a ball joint, but it can still ratchet. Toe's fine. You can't hyperextend, which is always good. There's a mark on the bottom of the foot. And it's probably the same kind of thing here. Oh god. Yeah. It's hard to tell, but I've messed with enough figures that I know that this one's so tight that while technically, yes, I'm able to move it back and forth, if I kept doing that enough times, it would just snap off the foot. So what I need to do is go in here and lube it just a little bit. I'll go ahead and lube the top joint while I'm here as well. Alright, so now I know that everything is moving properly and I have no problem moving that around. Okay, so like for this foot, I was still able to get it moved back and forth. But I could also tell it was tight enough that if I did that enough times, what would happen is that the joint would have worn down and snapped. So this was an issue of lubrication. I feel like the top one needs to be lubed as well. That's not really the best. I mean, dumb. Ideally, with the flying pose, you could get a higher angle of degree downward like say something more so like that as compared to that, which it really is right now, I mean, you're still supposed to be able to get more out of it than that. I mean, I know he's wearing boots and everything, but still, there should be more range there. I don't know. The hands are fine. I don't really have a problem with them. Like, the hand selection is fine. I can't get that on there. That's not even a question. I mean, you can tell on camera that the female is too small for the male. It's usually easier to make the female bigger than it is to make the male smaller. So, I don't even want to try to do this. Is this excessive force? This is no longer don't use excessive force with your figures. This is to the point where it is QC problems, where I literally can't get that on there without using excessive force, and then it would most likely result in me damaging the figure, so I have to go in there and either use the hot water treatment or use the drill bit in order to get the hand to fit on there properly. But as it stands, I can't fit the other hands on there. It's more QC shit, which is disappointing that that's what Tamashii has come to. They shove out figures so often, they still can't do their crap right. I know that Hit has problems, and the EE Goku has problems, and I haven't even opened those figures yet. So honestly, what I would recommend is stop touching your Tamashii figures until somebody else looks at them. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's honestly at the point that we're at, that like every single figure is having severe QC problems. It's just ridiculous. Stop touching your figures until me or somebody else has gone through and been like, yeah, Burter's hand's too tight, and be careful about this other head on Burter, and be careful about the feet right there, because unless you actually know a lot about action figures, you wouldn't know that if you kept messing with that the way that it was going to snap. I know that the tightness thing is a thing, because I used to mess with bootleg figures a lot, and they were so overly tight that you could like super glue the arm into the shoulder, and you could still get it to like move around if you went slow, and then you wouldn't actually realize that you're not actually breaking it free, you're snapping the thing actually. So I guarantee that that was what was about to happen on the Burter foot as well. I guess to really wrap this up, Burter itself, everything about the sculpt here, besides, you know, neck hinge and wrists, everything else seems to be pretty good for the most part, but just the QC issues right now are a complete joke, honestly, to the point where I had to make the video that was like, please stop opening your figures. It's not like it's literally, it's that bad now that every single figure that's coming out is having problems. Just, you got a QC problem. So deal with it, because I paid $100 for this whole set, and then it's like $100 and then $20 worth of work, and I'm never going to see a refund or anything else of like that. It's just, it's a complete fucking joke at this point. This is definitely the most disappointing SHF that I've played with this year so far. I mean, who knows? Maybe Hit's gonna be worse. I hope not. Which is sad, because I like Burter, kind of. If there's anything more that I could have asked for with this release, I would say maybe the head, whenever Vegeta steps on his neck and his tongue's like sticking out. Or like whenever Goku punches him in the gut and his tongue flies out like that, maybe. But I mean, this is fine. It's just more QC problems, which is very unfortunate to say. Which, like, QC, I don't give a shit about. Like with QC, like Mothx, I know that some of their older figures had some pretty bad QC problems, but I mean, it's Mothx, so I would put up with the QC problems if it meant still having the amazing sculpt of a Mothx or whatever. And it's not just a Tamashii thing, it happens with Marvel Legends, it happens with everybody else. But my god, is it a huge problem right now for Tamashii, and this needs to be dealt with. Stop pushing out figures, especially ones we don't like the look of. Just fix your stuff. I don't know who's running Tamashii right now, but this is pathetic. I could literally fix this. I'm an electrical engineer, I work with PLCs, I work with all this kinds of stuff. I'm not saying you gotta call me or whatever. I really hope that the problems that I've run into with this figure are fixed by the time that King Cold comes out, because I know that we are so close to getting a King Cold. Looking forward to it. Just fix your damn QC problems. This has been Jobenblue. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.